It can be us.
Sorry?
Can it be us?
Minh
We volunteer.
which group are you?
15.
15. Okay, so let's go with 15. Is there any other groups follow group 15? Yes or no? Hurry up, save time. We don't have much time. And group 15 and other groups that volunteered, that present today, when you start the presentation, please also turn on the camera for all of the members. Okay. In order to save time, group 15 or 17, I'm sorry. Minh Đức?
15.
15, yeah, 15. Please share the slides, and yeah, I think you guys can start. We need to save time. And each of the presentation have around 20 minutes, and then additionally 10 minutes for the Q&A. Okay, do not make it too long. The other students listen to your friends' presentation, learn from their good points, and avoid their mistakes, and also comments and give questions to get bonus for yourself. All right, 15, we are waiting. Among the groups, please also discuss, and if you want to volunteer, please put it in the chat box, okay? And I will invite a group. So now we are looking at the screen from group 15, so I will turn off the camera to save the Minh Trí, you want to say something? Oh, hand is up. Okay, 15, please start a slideshow and yeah, present.
Hi everyone, welcome to our presentation of group number 15. There are 7 members in my group and Thiện is the leader. So today we will discuss the topic about the remove messages. So now we have a question for you. Is the remove message function a good influence on chat apps? And the answer of my group is no. As you can see, the remove message is the function that can delete message already sent. For you to understand clearly about this, we will start with the argument from definition. The remove message function can delete messages that testers have already sent. It follows that testers are free to take what they want and can delete what they do not want.
Next, in my part, we will discuss about creating false problem on chat app with remove message function. To begin with, I will use inductive generalization argument to express more about my opinion. First, Telegram has remove message functions and it accused by many users of creating favorable conditions for frauds such as deleting an evidence. So on the social media with the remove message function search for widely. And to prove that problem, I did a small online service and the result there are 80% of users who are active on social media with remove message function claim that they have been scammed. Therefore, you will be tricked if using a social media with remove message functions.
So So the next part is I use the argument that hypothetical syllogisms. So our group show the formula that if A then B, if and if B then C, so the conclusion that if A then C. So we chose next. We chose A, the remit A, the remove function can delete the messages that tester have already sent, and the BE tester are free to test what they want and can delete what they want, and CE tester can test without controlling emotions and language. So apply this premise into this formula, we have the conclusion that therefore if the remove messages function can delete messages that tester have already sent, then we have tester can test without controlling emotion and language. So next is the causal argument.
Hello, I heard
Okay,
nothing. Okay.
thanks for the presentation. And in this slide, I'm going to tell you about causal argument. As you know, causal argument is an important argument type, as people are often looking for reason as to why things have happened, but may not be sure of have all of the necessary information. In this slide, some of the cause for the recall of communication that have an impact on the relationship are listed below. The first, the issues of confusion by changing messages are the result of loss of sympathy from the recipient. If I were you, I would be ready and comfortable as well. The second, the mischievous and stubborn character in sending messages called the respectfulness. In conclusion, unsending approves has affect relationship breakdown about family relationship, friendship relationship, and new relationship. Yeah, that's all.
Next slide, please. So we move to the categorical syllogisms. So we have the Romis one is that all people who like to remove messages are the tester. And the Romis 2 is some receiver are not tester. And we have conclusion that some receiver are not people who like to remove messages. Next. So I summarize that T for the tester, R for receiver, and PR are people who like to remove messages. So we summarize the case above that R, PR are T, some R are not T, and conclusion is some R are not PR. So I have a Venn diagram that improves this is valid or not. So we have the conclusion that some receivers are not people who like to remove messages. That is valid. So the next part.
This is my part, and I will talk about the argument based on mathematics. Teacher, and you guys can see this is the survey of my team. It's based on 100 people. We divide into 3 group of people. The first one is who do not support the remove message. The second one is feel normal, which means they not really hate but not really like. And the third one is people who are satisfied with the remove message. And this is the pie chart. They show that more than 50% people do not support the remove message. And the conclusion is the number of people who do not support the remove message is more than the number of people who satisfy with remove message. It's 10.
So removing messages, specifically deleting text in Messenger seem to cause the receiver to be confused. So I will use argument from analogy to point out that opinion. I have a 3 sentence for argument from analogy. The first sentence is the deleting a text in Messenger like the way using the eraser in handwriting paper or document, and the point that both of them leave the evidence of disguising some word irrelevant. And the second sentence is the in documents evenly comprising handwriting paper used for exchanging information. The eraser is banned from using because those need for proper information and clear opinion. So next slide, please. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you. And in conclusion, the last sentence is therefore deleting a text in Messenger properly so that the deleted text is improper information and unclear opinion, which caused the confusion for the receivers. So that's all. I invite the next member to continue our group presentation.
I hear nothing.
Please, next slide. This is
Hello. Anyone say something? We couldn't hear anything.
So the next argument is the eliminations. So we have the premise that either the tester or receiver misunderstand the remove messages, but the tester didn't misunderstand it because they remove it, right? So the conclusion is therefore the receiver misunderstand it. So done.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Đức and I'm in charge of the last two arguments to express you all about the cons of the remove functions. Okay, from the previous argument, it declared that remove message can cause some misunderstanding, so it can possibly lead to some anxious feeling and they might think they have done something wrong. Indeed, from an article on the internet, not that some people have the same feelings as mentioned above. To take a picture, I will describe three typical people. The first person says the remove message is an unethical doing because it can be a way to destroy evidence of the conversation. The second one say whenever people remove the message, they would feel very annoyed or discomfort. And the last one, it says remove message should not be present because it makes people become irresponsible on what they said. So in general, to summarize, I can say I can make a conclusion that remove message can cause some bad or negative feeling on the receivers.
So that's the last of our presentation. So if you have any question, feel free to ask us.
Okay, thank you, group 15. And now the floor is open to the audience. You can raise your voice to give comments, or you can put it in the chat box. Any comments? So quiet. Anyone? Really? No? Or you didn't pay attention to the presentation at all? It seems like everyone agree with the group 15. And group 15 disagree to have the removing message on the communication apps, isn't it? But I think it at the beginning it should be clear what kind of apps, or is there any old types of apps that you are talking about? And also you said that we can remove the message if we want, the texter, the one, the sender, who they want to remove, then they just remove. But actually there are some kind of app that after you send for several minutes, then you cannot withdraw it, isn't it? If you delete it, it's just delete from your side, not the receiver side. I'm not sure I'm correct or not. Could you please explain further?
So our topic focus on the chat app, not at all the communication app. Chat app is been a Facebook or Instagram or Zalo.
But for the I experienced with the Zalo, like I send, and if a few seconds after that, then I can withdraw or delete. But after that, after let's say 1 minute or 2 or something, then I cannot delete or withdraw. If I delete, it's just my side. I could not delete from the receiver side, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you say that your topic cover also Zalo, then you see in this case it's not the what we can support.
Sorry if I don't not use the Zalo so much, so I didn't know that this function have like you said.
How about the other group members? Do you use Zalo, and how do you think? Can you withdraw the message or delete the message for both of the sites, even you send it after 2-3 minutes? The other members of group 15. Hoàng Nam?
Yeah, no, miss. I don't use the Zalo.
How about the Facebook Messenger? Is it okay if we send it and after, let's say, 5 minutes, we delete it still we can?
Can't.
Of course, we can delete it when we want.
Oh, I see. But it not always work for all of the other chat apps, isn't it?
As from my experience, I'm usually use the Facebook and Instagram, so they have these functions. Also, the Snapchat I'm just on Google have the similar these functions.
So in such a case, yeah. Yellow, I don't think so. I use Yellow and I couldn't. Okay. So yeah, in such a case, there might be some chat app that you can have the remove function at any time you want after you send, or some they don't have that function. Then you should specify that, okay, your topic is only for those who have that removing function for any time after we send the message. Okay. And still don't have comments from the audience, so I continue with mine. So the impression from me to group 15 is that, yeah, thank you very much to be the volunteer as the first presenter. And I could see that you guys try to make all 11 types of arguments, all right? But somehow some of the arguments are not in the right format. For example, I don't think that it is in the right format for the causal argument, the cause and effect relationship. We learned again in chapter 11 already. You need to clearly indicate the cause effect relationship. And also we could have the wrong format in the predictive argument. It's not really the predictive, that the prediction that you make based on some historical information, historical record, and you predict similar things might happen in the future. Okay, this is not in the right format. So if you want, you can show the slide again, and so the audience also could follow. And in the last slide about the authority, authority means you borrow information from a source, and that source is your authority. But you don't really cite what does it mean by your authority. You say a research or a survey on internet or something like that. It's too general. We don't really know what is your authority. Okay, and we could say that, right, it either would be inappropriate appeal to authority, or it is not in the right format at all. Okay, so those are the mistakes in type of format. And some of the arguments, yeah, in the correct format, but somehow it is not a good argument. For example, the inductive generalization, it sounds like very much hasty. Okay, and the statistical arguments, you guys show the statistic, but you don't show, you say it's 80% something, right? But we don't know how much is your sample. 80% of 100 or 80% of 1,000 is different story. Okay, we'll also learn in chapter 11 to make the argument better. And at first, I thought like in the categorical syllogism, you guys had the wrong format for the statement, but when Thiện explained the Venn diagram, then I could see that somehow it is in the correct format. Okay, as long as you could draw it, and yeah, it is in the right format, and it is valid. And also the hypothetical is okay, I think. For the math, for the mathematics, you guys said that you did the survey for 100. So you guys did by yourself? The group did? The group did the survey?
Yes.
To whom did they ask?
From our friends.
So you did a 100 survey, and you come up with 57 something %, and you said that there are more people who dislike that function rather than the other. So it is okay, very good. You try to have your own original data, but somehow 100 is not a big number, isn't it? Especially if you make conclusion for the whole Vietnamese people or people in all over the world, then 100 is not a big number.
Yeah.
Right. And the analogy, I could see that you are comparing the two objects here, but we don't really see so many similarities among the objects that you compare. You compare deleting a text like erasing a handwriting on the handwriting paper. But yeah, you need to point out more similarities in order to conclude we are forbidden to have or banned to have the eraser, or so we should ban. So that is somehow not so comparable. Okay. And besides that, in each of the slides, I expect to have the link of the reference, but you guys didn't have, isn't it? And also at the end of the slide, you didn't have. At the end of the presentation, you also don't have.
That's our mistake word, but actually we have some reference. So if you want to see it, I can send you later.
No, don't send me later. You better make it when you present. Now it is too late to check. So the reason why I asked you guys to have the link of reference is for us to see, okay, in this argument, the slide is like this, the premise is like that, and from where you got that premise. Something like that is needed to check for the truth of the information or the reliability of the information that you don't have. We cannot check, and we will drop every of the single premises and we say, oh, that is not true, the other one is not true, something like that. Okay, all right. So I don't think the other friends have any comments. Maybe this is the first presentation, so you guys don't know how to listen to. But actually, this week, Monday and Tuesday class, they did very well. They have so many questions, for even the very first presenter. So I think this group, you need to listen carefully. You can take note like I am having here. I take note all of each of the premise or arguments from our friends so that it's easy for us to follow and to give comments. Okay, so again, not a really good work, but anyway, thank you group 15 for the first presentation. Thank you. You guys can turn off the camera and stop sharing the slide now. Okay, is there any other groups want to continue with the presentation? Or I should pick up by myself? And when I pick up, if you said you're not ready, then 10% minus will be applied, okay? So I will prepare the wells, any groups? Let's see how many groups we have in our class. So except group 15, right? So we have 19 group. We have 18A and 18B as well. So let me prepare except group 15. Then we have 18A and 18B. All right, and let me share the wells. Can you see the well?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, this is rotating. Okay, group 14. 14. Are you here?
Yes, teacher, we're ready.
Okay, good. Okay, then I will stop sharing and you guys can start. So you guys prefer to let the destiny decide, right? Okay.
Have you seen my screen, teacher?
Yes, I saw it. Please
Thank
start.
you.
Yeah. Everyone turn on the camera. Yes, thanks.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our group's presentation, Group 14. Today, we want to convey our opinion about a topic, which is sexual assaulted victim blaming in Vietnam needs to stop. There are 6 members in our team, and all of us agree with the topic that is mentioned. Now let's start. While the global anti-sexual harassment movement has inspired Vietnamese women, they are still denying justice and safety. Victims of sexual abuse and other forms of gender-based violence not only suffer from physical and mental pain, but also from the culture of victim blaming. Within victim blaming, women are told to change their actions to avoid being raped. They are often scrutinized as to who they were with and what they were wearing or what they might have done to cause the crime against them. And because of the victim blaming culture, the victims did not dare or could not review their stories. This tendency exists in all societies and that it is damaging. So we believe that victim blaming in Vietnam should be abolished for good. Now, let's take a quick look at the flow or the reasons why we support such situation.
As everyone can see, we draw the mind map to overall on argument with this and divide it to men. We divide it to 2 main ideas, that is, individual and society. As you can see on the left side, individual include the remind step by step. Which one is no one deserves harm and victims do not feel protected enough to reveal things, and then victims endure a lot of pain while the offender face no significant punishment, suffer from distress. then victims to no longer believe in themselves and suicidal ideation. And victim may commit suicide, and then sexual assault is not unnecessary to care matter. And the next one is about the society.
As for society, it includes encouraging social acceptance of victim blaming and judge victims even though they do not deserve it and gradually become a bad situation in society. This will lead to the fact that society will become more and more chaotic.
Sorry. Okay. Now let's start with the very first argument from definition. Victim blaming effectively states that a victim deserves the crime that they endure. Crime is often about violence, power, and control, and therefore no one will deserve the crime committed against them. And we have the main conclusion is that it is important that we shift the focus from blaming the victim to ensure that the offender has taken the responsibility for the crime that they committed.
The next one is the argument based on mathematics. As we can see, the remaining one is a study of 2,000 women and girls in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City in 2015 shows that 87% of women and girls suffer from sexual harassment in public places. And we got the conclusion is 13% of women and girls replied, "No, I haven't," to the question. So some of them probably just don't feel protected enough to reveal things. That's what I need. That's what I got. Next.
In the third argument, I want to share you guys a typical case. It happened in 2019 and published on some websites, and then it got a lot of attention. It happened to Lan, a victim of sexual harassment. After Lan had pushed herself through the agony of detailing the sexual harassment that she suffered at her colleagues' hands, the punishment that the man received was a penalty fine of 200,000 Vietnam dong, about $8.59. Lan said that when the harassment was brought to authorities' notice, she knew she would face public criticism, but she never imagined such malicious comments from women. After the accident, Lan took 2 weeks off work and spent many days crying and could not step outside, but she literally did nothing wrong. Lan said victims will hesitate to report such accidents since they themselves have to endure a lot of pain and prejudice, while the offenders face no significant punishment. Therefore, the ones that need to suffer and take responsibility must be the accusers, not the victims.
Going to the next one is hypothetical syllogism. That's another chain argument with the remaining one is if they reveal the assault, they get blamed and criticized. And if they get blamed and criticized, they will suffer from distress and anxiety. So the conclusion is, therefore, if they reveal the assault, they will suffer from distress and anxiety. That's all.
If we search information about gaslighting in the internet, we can see gaslighting is a form of manipulations where the bully or abuser make the target questions their judgment and reality. And the common spawn of gaslighting and victim blaming is that they use word, wishful, and
inaccurate information to manipulate and blame others. Gaslighting causes victims to no longer believe in themselves and lose the ability to distinguish right from wrong. So therefore, rapidly victim blaming also causes victims to no longer to believe in themselves and lose the ability to distinguish right from wrong. Victim blaming has caused negative effects on victims, making them vulnerable to external pressures, leading to depressions. So we continue with argument 6. At a ratio of argument 5, the victim tend to come up with suicidal ideations that must stem of the symptom of anxiety worsen by victim blaming, such as them disconnected from their own feelings, post-traumatic and stress disorder, and so on.
All the negative consequences we mentioned before can lead to suicide in victims. Here is inductive generalization of our group. The premise 1. A girl in Đồng Nai committed suicide as a result of her partner posting sex footage on social media and were severely insulted by the internet community after. The premise 2. A girl in Hanoi committed herself when her classmates featured her in a picture collage of seductive girl dressed up, and her classmates left obscene comments on it. And the conclusion is, therefore, properly on victims of sexual assault in Vietnam may commit suicide if they face victim blaming from the public.
A statistical argument. A 2014 ActionAid survey found that 81% of Vietnamese women said they have experienced sexual harassment in public places. And these surveys were chosen randomly, and this is, of course, is a small amount, small number. But think about the female population in Vietnam and imagine how many victims there will be in reality. And of course, everyone has at least a female relative or a female friend. So probably your relative or friend is a victim of sexual assault, but she does not dare to talk about this. And our main conclusion is, don't think that sexual assault is an unreal matter or is not related to you, and is it really necessary to care about this?
So victim blaming culture will exert some negative effect on the society. Here is a reductive argument. The premise 1. Victims who have been blamed prefer to avoid secondary victimization in the future, so they do not report further crimes. The conclusion is, therefore, society will probably run the risk of encouraging social acceptance of victim blaming and thereby allowing the perpetrator to avoid accountability for his or her behavior.
All people who are sexually and assault are victims. All people who are victims do not deserve to be judged. So conclusions is, all sexual assault people do not deserve to be judged. People often tend to judge victims even though they don't deserve it, and gradually become a best situation in society.
Okay, and the finally argument is the argument by elimination. We have the first premise is that Either the victims of sexual assault are criticized and take responsibility for themselves, or the sexual assaulter is criticized by the community and held accountable to the law. But crimes of sexual assault are often not condemned and criticized. So the conclusion, victims are often blamed for more than criminals. We have the main conclusion is that the above actions make the sexual assaulter more confident with their behavior. And since then, the society will become more and more chaotic, and more people will get sexually assaulted. And that is the end of our group's presentation. Thank you for paying attention. And if you have any question, and do not hesitate to ask us. Thank you.
Thank you, 14. Now the floor is open.
Pardon?
No, I just want to say that the floor is open to the audience for Q&A section, but it seems like not many questions coming.
Okay.
Right, thanks. Please wait for a while to see if we have any comments, questions from our friends or not. Anyone, do you have any comment, questions to group 14? Why so quiet? Let me see. Yeah, please raise your hand so that we could see the name. Đoàn Thị Thúy Danh, yeah? Or Thùy Danh, I'm not sure, sorry. Yeah, please start.
I have a question from
Your network is not stable. We couldn't hear your voice. If you want, you can put your comments in the chat box. It's okay if the voice is unclear. Maybe our friend is typing due to the network connection. And others also, if you have questions, you can either put in the chat box or raise your voice if the internet is good. Khánh Huyền, please.
Could you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask the team that the arguments on mathematics from the part 2. I wonder that the conclusion is not the conclusion. It's just the another premise based on mathematics, and the main conclusion is, I think that it probably does relates to the two premises above.
Okay, thanks for your question.
Yeah, you can
give us some seconds, please.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we are still waiting for Jan. Do you have any question, comment? If you cannot say, or you can type.
I will hear me now.
Yes.
My question is also agreement based on mathematics. I don't think it's a true format.
Correct format. Okay.
I think it's not like statistics.
Okay.
And I also have a question from agreement from authority. I don't know who are Loan or who is Loan. And also the group said Loan is a victim of sexual harassment, but I don't know the honesty of the Loan statement.
Okay, thanks, Jan. So Jan made the comments on the authority and also the mathematics. Okay.
I don't. I still have a question in inductive generalization. I don't think two example is đủ để make a conclusion.
Okay, the premise is not to support the conclusion, you mean?
Yeah.
Right, thanks. Okay, and in the chat box we see the comments from my wing. Yeah, I'm sorry, my wing or one my wing. Always I forgot. Do you think people should be supplemented with knowledge about such issue at school? All right, that is more of asking for opinion. And Mỹ Hương, in the categorical arguments, the group does not have symbolic for the Venn diagram. Yeah. Okay, so you are receiving the comments on the mathematics, the authority, the inductive generalization, and the categorical syllogism. Please respond. It's better now. You guys give comments. Good. Now let's give group 14 few minutes. And if possible, either you raise voice to give comment for the answers, or you can reply in the chat box. It's fine, okay? Now, please start.
Okay, so far we have 4 questions, right, teacher?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to answer Khánh Huyền question. The argument based on mathematics. In the conclusion, we actually perform the subtraction. Subtraction. We take that means 87% of women and girls out of 2,000 women. So we do the subtraction. So we have that 13% of women and girls replied, no, I haven't, to the question. The question is that, have you ever been raped or assaulted? And so we think that within 13%, they might have never been assaulted, or they just not there to just review their stories. So that is might be because of they do not feel protected enough, do not feel their benefits to just tell something out. That's our opinion.
Can I say something? Yeah, can I say something on your answer? It's not like, okay, you are having the correct format of math because you did the subtraction. 100 minus 87 equal 13, isn't it? But then I'm also concerned about this argument because from the premise only one premise, and the conclusion, it's not like it's really difficult to go to the main conclusion, as you are trying to say that, all right, some of them, that mean 13%, isn't it? Just don't feel protected enough to reveal things. So it's really not enough information to go from the conclusion of this argument to the main conclusion here. And therefore, people will say, or I will, or other will think like, oh, it's not, this argument is not enough to support the topic.
Excuse me, because I did not display all the information on the slides, but we did script out, we did say it out. If you, because I did not display all the information here. But
just... So if you add additional information, if it is important, you can add it as another premise. So like here you have premise 1, you have sub-conclusion, and then you may have premise 2 or some others to link the conclusion here with the main conclusion, isn't it? Yeah, I know, just now you explain, and it makes sense when you explain, but the one you explain additionally like this is really important for this argument. Otherwise, people don't see the link between the conclusion to the main conclusion. Get it?
Okay.
Right, so continue.
That is enough for this question. Khánh Huyền, do you want to add something, or how do you feel about my answer?
Okay, I feel pretty satisfied with your answer, but I have another question from part 5. Could you move to part 5?
Analogy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder that
Turn the slide to analogy, please. The next 3 slide. Yeah.
I see that you give information about gaslighting as the psychological disease, but I see that it have no relationship with victim blaming. One thing is the psychological disease. One thing, victim blaming, is the behavior. And if we give the comparison between two things, I see it would not relate it.
It's not comparable.
Yeah.
So it will be weak analogy fallacy. How do you respond? Rule 14. It is good to know. I didn't know that gaslighting is a disease. Thanks me. Anyway. Okay. Rule 14, please.
Yes, I will answer these questions about gaslighting. Such as Khánh Huyền talk, gaslighting is in relationship, but victim blaming is no relationship. But I want to talk about the common point of gaslighting and victim blaming is they also use words with false and inaccurate information to manipulate and blame other, not no relationship or in relationship.
I don't really get your points, but I agree with Huyen. If gaslighting is a disease and the victim blaming is a behavior, then it's not comparable, isn't it? Of course, both of the situation, we have the victim of the disease and the victim of the behavior, but we cannot compare the behavior with the disease, right? 14, any other ones to support your mate?
We did some research and we want to say that gaslighting in Vietnamese thao túng ý tưởng. That is a form of manipulation, and we don't think it is a disease.
Oh.
And the point in want to say is that the method that they use to manipulate others' mind, that is use false words and inaccurate information. We want to make clear.
Okay. I haven't searched in detail for gaslighting, but if you think that it is not a disease, like Huyen said, so there's something different, understanding is different between Huyen and group 14 here. So Huyen, check again if gaslighting is a disease or also something related to the behavior of manipulation, like our friend mentioned here. Okay, but anyway, it must be careful we pick up the things to be compared in the analogy. Anyway, okay, otherwise it's confusing the audience. How about the next comments on the authority, inductive, and categorical?
About the inductive generalization, I use the two premises of two examples in Vietnam, and I read on critical textbook that it's okay because I use therefore properly. So I think it's okay.
Yeah, it is okay, but not a good argument. We learned already, right? In the chapter 11, we need to somehow improve the argument to make it a better one. So in this case, yeah, it is in the right format of inductive generalization, but it is not a good argument because you only based on the two victims, yeah, the two girls here, and you make conclusion for all victims. So the sample is too small compared to population as a whole. How do you think?
Yes.
In the textbook, maybe they are trying to teach you the format, but not a good argument yet. And we learn in the fallacies chapter, if the sample is too small compared to population as a whole, then you will have the hasty generalization fallacy, right? Right. Okay. The next about authority and the categorical. I think the authority is clearly the mistake, isn't it? Who is lying?
Lan is actually Lan. Lan is a name for what? It's not a name had changed.
It's just a name, right? But anyway, a person, a lady, a girl. But
yes,
it's too specific to conclude, isn't it?
Actually, I want to add something. I read this article, and actually, one did introduce about a victim. Lan is a victim of a sexual assault that the offender just fined 200,000 dong. But actually, due to the bad connection, that actually me too. But we actually did introduce the victim, but it is my mistake to not to display in the slide.
Right. So, even though we know who is Lang that you are talking about, but it's too specific for a case, isn't it? And it is really difficult to use that and make conclusion. And Lang is an authority, and we cannot say for sure that that authority is reliable.
Okay.
Right. It could be, if you talk about the victim of the sexual harassment or something, it could be an expert working on this kind of field, or a psychologist or something like that. Would be more reliable.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah. And the last one of your friend's comment is about the categorical.
And the next one is about categorical. And the first one I want to say thanks for your feedback, Mihu. And that is our mistake which we didn't add a symbolic for Venn diagram, and I'm sorry so much about it. But I want to fix, and let me fix and explain it right now. Which you can see as my Venn diagram is V is here is victim in my categorical, and SA is sexual assaultment, and the last one chase is people who do not deserve to be judged.
So if it is the case, then you should rewrite the premise 2 and the conclusion, so that all of the 3 statements will be in the standard categorical statements.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All some no, subject as a noun to be verb are or are not, and predicate as a noun as well. But here the premise 2 and the conclusion, we don't have to be verb are or are not.
Yes.
All right, and then you draw and you prove that this is valid. Okay. Any other comments? I'm not sure we have, but yeah, we don't have time, so let's summarize by my comments. In general, yeah, also quite good presentation with most of the arguments are in the right format, except some. In some argument, I'm not sure because of the hidden part at the bottom or not, but it's like some of the argument doesn't have the link or the reference. Like, is it this one has the reference link out here? I don't see from my side.
Actually, there is no in this slide, and it's 11th slide too.
Some of arguments I saw the links, but some doesn't have. So we will doubt about the truth of the premise or the evidence in the premise here. Okay, and also there's a mistake in the causal argument. If you notice, please go up to the causal arguments. If you remember, for the causal arguments, we provide the fact in the premise. So the conclusion you are saying here is actually the fact that you prove, isn't it? A victim tends to come up with suicidal ideation. So it is the fact. And then you make conclusion, it must be because something. So you are explaining why they have the problem, isn't it? Yeah. So here, I think you got the idea of writing the causal arguments. Just the mistake in the first one, instead of conclusion, it is the premise. And the premise is actually a conclusion. You are making the explanation why the victim feel like this and have the tendency like this. Okay, and also similar with the Luang example, the argument is too specific to make an authority. The hypothetical, please go up the 2 slides to the hypothetical. You said they. Who is they? Who are they in this statement? Go down to the 4th. Sorry, the yeah. They, who? The victim or who?
They stand for the sexual assaulted victims. Actually.
No, so the victims, right? So you should specify like this. So that if you just they, we don't know who is they that you're talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So and last but not least, if you want to listen, then some arguments, even though the source is there, but I think it is not a reliable source. For example, in the predictive arguments, actually the mistake is in the format, because from premise we cannot go to the conclusion that you are showing. And also the source, the link, I saw it is the blog. And you know that blog is not a reliable source, isn't it? If you want to cite, you shouldn't cite from the blog. The predictive argument, number 9, yeah, here. Okay, I saw the edu and blog and the boast, something like this. So it's not a reliable source. Yeah. Okay, so if in the blog they mention some original link of reference, then you should cite the original one. If you cite the blog, then people will say, oh, it is not trustworthy. It's just a blog. It's just some kind of opinion. Get it?
Okay.
Right. Thanks for 14 a lot. And yeah, I think also not a bad presentation. That is good. And it's very smooth when you guys switch from one presenters to the other presenter. Anyway, big hand. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, right. Continue. Any groups want to volunteer, or again, I use the wheels? Han Trung?
Yes, I want to volunteer.
Which group are you?
12.
Okay, please, 12.
Let's show the slide.
And all members turn on the camera, please.
Oh my God, this is the first time I share.
All right, if you don't, you're not familiar, you can switch it to the other friends.
Okay, I see this. Okay, can you see the slides?
It's coming, yeah. Please start. All members, turn on camera.
So, nowadays, a society developed dramatically, people also regularly improve their communication methods for inner community, workplace, and school. Look at it deeper insight into this development. Social media has an important role in this, and of course, people using social media can access information faster, and company can reach consumer more easily, and importantly, students like me can keep up to newest knowledge and modern educational system. And so, hello everyone, I'm Trung and also a member of Group 12. And this is all members of the group, including 7 members. And in general, after discuss together, we agree with social media has improved human communication. And we will present human communication, and we will present how social media has improved in community, business, and education. So now let's get started. And first, I explain to you what social media is. Social media is considered as an internet based form of communication and can allow people to exchange information and news with each other. And according to the research, over 4 billion people in the world use social media for staying in touch with friends and family, finding product to purchase, and so on. This means many people have a opportunity to communicate on the internet, and as a result, there are social media has imparted human communication. And next partner to Yan will present in more detail.
Thank you, Joe. Hi, everyone. I'm Thuy and we talk about the impact of social media in communicating. Social media influence has given rise to a different genre of communication, where conversations are quick and information is easily relayed. So many people tend to communicate through social media. Firstly, I will come up with an inductive generalization. There are over 1.2 billion people communicating through the WeChat app during the first quarter of 2021. Therefore, it's likely that all more people communicate through social media. Next, the specific example of the positive impact on social media on human communication is communicating with each other during the outbreak of the COVID-19 epidemic. During the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, many regions had to enact social distancing policies and many cities had to issue social distancing orders. So communicating with each other should have become very difficult. However, communication between people is still maintained during the quarantine due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic because of social media. We discussed it with the council agreement. Social media um, communication between people is still maintained during the quarantine due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And social media provides different way of communication so that people can communicate indirectly with each other quickly. Therefore, social media call maintaining communication between people during the pandemic. Then my partner Nhân will continue with the sequel.
Thank you, Yan. Hi everyone, I'm Nhân. Now we're going to some data that show how social media improve human communication. From 2001 to 2003, people had to spend an average of 100 minutes per day or more to search for what they needed. But from 2013, each person spent 18 minutes per day locating interesting information. Do a quick math, we can see, compared to 2001 to 2003, average time to find information reduced 82 minutes from 2013. Therefore, people can save time to find and learn something new. As I mentioned above, we can see social media give user and consumer more flexibility. According to the research, 43% of customers have increased their use of social media to discover new products and brands, and 18% of customers expect companies to interact with them on social. 53% of the world population use social media for their business, has an effective social media strategy. Therefore, social media makes it easier for people to communicate with each other more quickly. And now we continue with Mr. Sun.
Hi everybody. Firstly, we will discuss what is a predictive argument. A prediction is a statement about what may or will happen in the future. In a predictive argument, Prediction is defined with reasons. Predictive arguments are among the most common patterns of inductive reasons. Uh, we can see a breakdown of a number of emails sent and received below, and I have brought an example related to this type of argument as follows. There are 293.6 billion emails per day during 2019. Roughly 306.4 billion emails were estimated to have been sent and received each day in 2020. This figure is likely expected to increase to over 376.4 billion daily mail by 2025. The conclusion is the amount of email communication will continue to increase in the future. Even though this argument contains a prediction, it is clearly deductive because the conclusions must be true if the premises are true. And then look at the table, we see that the rate sending and receive email had increased steadily or no side decrease over time from 2017 to 2025. It's either steady and continued increase over the years. That's the basis as well as the reason for us to predict it will continue to increase in the future. The next, again, thirdly, what is argument by elimination? Argument by elimination seeks to logically rule out various possibilities until only a single possibility remains. This is the example about it. For social media business, either social media have company in making communication with customer global easier, or they find it difficult to have companies to communicate with those. But social media make it easier for company to communicate with customer, and so social media have company in communicating with customer easily. And then why I say social media make it easier, I will give some reason and evidence for this. In fact, that posting on social media is like shooting through a visual megaphone for everyone of your customer. Have 3 billion people are currently active on social media across all over the world. People can find and update information as well as new products on fanpage like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Information you can exchange information important. We can exchange information anytime, anywhere, by chat box and comment under the box. And sum up, you can control your time. Then we have research that the aim of such argument is to logical include every possible outcome except one. Such arguments are always deductive. Like this example, I did eliminate one idea. They find it difficult to have company to communicate with, though, because I did follow some evidences above. And then we have a last conclusion, is social media have people communication. And now we continue with Sang.
After my teammate gave data about customer and how they communicate. I will talk about hypothetical. Remix one is organization utilize social media to interact between customer, staff, and startup. They can create quick response, brand building, omnichannel engagement, and business growth. Social media has changed the business landscape a lot. This is one of the most important aspects of digital marketing, offering incredible benefits that reach millions of customers worldwide. If you are a small business owner, it's very important to know why you need to use social media and how it will affect your business. Um, Social media help business in 4 key areas: quick response, brand building, omnichannel engagement, and visit growth. Remit to many organizations use social media to interact with customers. Uh, Social media usage has skyrocketed in recent years. It's time to pay attention to social media for business. Social media is the main reason why many businesses grow so quickly. We can find easily that business social media generate cheaper and they load deals faster, and the people responsible for purchasing decision will remember them more easily. In contrast, conventional marketing methods are too expensive, and most of your customers are not reachable by those old-fashioned tactics. They don't pick up their phone, your email, go unanswered, and pay. Advertising is a waste of time and effort. In conclusion, therefore, they can create quick response, brand building, omnichannel engagement, and business growth. Next, Mẫn.
Hello everyone. In in recent years, Facebook has become an indispensable part of the modern life of the world in general and Vietnam in particular. Facebook has traced the beer to people of all ages, on work, offline. Facebook makes it easy to connect and exchange with friends and relatives at home and abroad, and update information quickly. The Facebook is growing constantly. More and more people use Facebook. This is a fertile ground for business people to sell their products. Facebook is a useful entertainment tool. Not only that, very helpful in learning. About 60.5% of good students and 42.9% of excellent students think that searching for study material and exchanging learning information on Facebook is very effective. Similar to Facebook, learning on YouTube application is also chosen by millions of people and students to study. YouTube is no longer just a place for entertainment, but also a useful medium for learning, information, and documentation. About 10% of Vietnamese users are learning foreign language on YouTube. So professionally practice video are a lot of fun. So watching the video will motivate you to absorb the content present in them. Most people who use Facebook channel to interact with learners have good presentation skills and are easy to understand. In addition to lecture and exercise designed with the goal of teaching, you can watch movie in the language you are learning with subtitles is possible. For students, the benefits that social network bring such as using it in learning, communicating, and looking for career opportunity are undeniable. In addition, many students from different universities in all regions of the country have a set of bases to help each other learn English or specialized subjects. It is one of the channels to help you improve your learning efficiency, share knowledge, and document. Therefore, Facebook is where YouTube upload social network that support everyone learning. Learning by social network helps students to understand, observe, and improve their understanding knowledge. Knowledge is where learning more than knowledge in school. So, my friend, we will continue.
Yes. So now we go on more information about improvement of social media in human communications. As we know that social media is significantly helpful with interactions of people, and education is not an exception. The use of social media in education helps students and teachers to get more useful information, to connect with learning groups and other educational systems that make education more convenient. And by argument from authorities, we could make it more clearly about this aspect. Mr. Mead is an associate professor of instructional technologies at Georgia Southern University, director of ETEC. His research interests include online and teaching, computer science education, problem solving, and motivations in education. According to Mr. Mead, students tend to positively closer to their lecturers when they participate in groups on Facebook. Social media interactions also help students feel more interested in subject knowledge, as well as its usefulness in practice. Learners also feel the closeness when interacting on Facebook and get feedback on lessons or suggestions with individual factors. Therefore, social media probably leads to positive impacts in communication between students and lecturers. A reliable source, Penguin Magazine, my team has cited below references that all of you can search for more useful information. And lastly, after all elements contributing to growth of social media in communication, I would like to surely make an affirmation by a sort of argument with a categorical syllogism. Social media is one of the means of interactions among people in which they create, share, and exchange information and ideas in virtual communities and networks. It also refers to tools and platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and etc. Like all social media is communication tools. On communication tools are tools that support connecting with people at any given time. Therefore, on social media are tools that support connecting with people at any given time. So S stands for social media, CJ stands for communication tools, C stands for tool that support connecting with people at any given time. So this argument is presented by Venn diagram, and as you can see that this argument is valid. So in short, we agree with the point of view that social media has improved human communication.
Thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And of course, I recognize I know my mistake in this presentation. There are three websites I get the information. Our data is reliable because there is three websites I get from the blog. And actually, I am so sorry and apologize for this. And thank you for listening.
Okay, you removed one of the comments already. Okay, the floor is open to the audience. You need to leave the slide there. Once someone make a comments on any slide, you switch to that slide. So share the screen again. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Any comments, questions to group 12?
I have a question.
Tuan, please.
Can you switch to the slide, the inductive generalization?
Okay. Here it is. Can you see slide?
Yeah.
Yes. I have I think the problem is in the premise because you talk about how social media improve the human communication, but you only you use the WeChat app and it represents for all the social media, so it's kind of a fallacy.
I agree.
And the second slide is the argument from the analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, when you compare the Facebook and the YouTube, the sub-conclusion is YouTube probably has improved the way students communicate, and it's nothing wrong with it. But the main conclusion, you shouldn't include YouTube users because, as I mentioned, the YouTube is not represent all the social media, and the conclusion should relevant to the main your main point, which is social media.
Okay, thanks, Tuan.
Okay, thank you.
Besides that, not only the WeChat in one argument, YouTube in another argument, but in the authority, you see, you also make some kind of providing information for the Facebook, and then you make conclusion on the social media. So the same problem like Tuan point out. Okay, thanks, Tuan.
Yeah.
How about the response? Is there any response or admit or mistake? Group child, do you want to respond to Tuan comment?
So, first of all, I want to say talk about the inductive generalization. And this is my mistake because I just take one example to generalize whole of our social media tools. And yes, I agree with Tuan about our mistake. And so this is because argument from analogy. I don't know because I think it's a comparison to two things, and I just get two example for this, and maybe this is my problem. Yeah.
So we could see what you are comparing, but the conclusion is not supportive for the whole topic.
Yeah.
And if you go to the authority, you also see similar things. We see the citation of the authority. It could be a reliable authority, but then the authority only talk about the Facebook, isn't it? Go to authority, the argument number 10. Going down. Yeah, here we could see, all right, we with a very handsome picture. Okay, we could see that this is a reliable authority. However, the information is only on Facebook, and you actually can only make conclusion on Facebook, but then you make conclusion for social media in general. That is somehow a similar mistake. And here, this argument also had another mistake, same to the mistake with the analogy, because in the premise, there are too many statements here. In the argument from analogy, you also have two statements for each of the premise. And in this argument, you have each of the premise, you have 2 or 3 statements. So that is not good, right? If you want, you can break it to single statement. Do not keep a compound statement or more than one statement in one premise. Remember, we learned already. We avoid that. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Any other comments besides Tuan? This is the chance for you to get bonus by commenting to your friends. So Tuan made a comment on the analogy, yeah, and also inductive. Anyone else? Okay. If no, then my turn. Besides the comments on the inductive, analogy, and authority, I think that there are some arguments you guys did very good. For example, the definition, the causal arguments, the hypothetical, and the categorical. Very good job. Right format, and I think it's a good argument. But then the very first comment I intend to say, but Trung already admits, is that in some of the arguments, the math, the statistically, or even the analogy, the source is from the blog, and that is not good, isn't it? And for the elimination, I just doubt that whether you have only two alternatives. Could you please turn to the elimination? Are you sure only two alternatives? Yeah, either social media helps companies in making communication with customers globally easily, or they find it difficult to have company to communicate with those. Not really a good way of posing the alternatives, isn't it? And then, but social media make it easier for company to communicate with customers, so they have company communicate with customer easily. So the conclusion is the very premise too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like you are going around and around. The premise is the conclusion. The conclusion is the premise. That is the one type of fallacies. It has the name what? Loaded questionable fallacy. What? Sorry again. What is the name? I forgot. You have premise is conclusion. Conclusion is premise. What is the name of the fallacy?
Yes.
Do you see that? Do you see that the premise two is the very conclusion that you made? The same meaning. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I think we have more problem than that, but at least, yeah, in some of the arguments is very good, and we don't have time to go further on this. Anyway, thank you, 12, to be the volunteer. Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so the last presenter of today, is there any group volunteer? Manan?
Yes, our group 10 would like to volunteer to present.
Right, thanks, group 10. Please start. So students, the friends will be very much released. Right. Okay, I could see the slide in the slideshow mode, and all the members, please turn on the camera. Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So we would like to start our presentation, and today we would like to discuss the topic of famous people having a negative influence on ordinary people. And our group have decided to agree on this opinion. As you can see, we have 7 members, and I would like to start my presentation now. Next slide, please. Okay, so before we start with our argument, I would like to lead you through our outline. So by saying that famous people have negative influence on ordinary people, there are three main negative influence here. The first one is the bad behaviors of celebrities. The next one is the negative influence they might cause on the mental development of their followers. And finally is their misleading or fake speech or content that's causing harm. Within the bad behaviors of the celebrity, of course, we have to mention the drug using, illicit activity or illegal acts, and of course their encouragement on dangerous activity as well. For the negative influence on the mental development, we have more to discuss about. First is about the way that other people perceive their body or their body image. Next is the development of self-esteem. And we also have their changing the perspective of the public on materialism. And of course, the extreme idolizing or almost to the verge of obsession. For the misleading or fake speech or content, this one is causing also a lot of harm. We have misleading product endorsement, causing you to buy unsafe products, etc. Misinformation, right? Because we tend to believe the people we idolize. Fake philanthropy, meaning that doing charity but with a different intention, do more harm than good. And of course, finally, is the political views and how it affects other people, the public's view on the political issue as well. So to start with, these are 11 types of arguments that we will include in our speech. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Is the bad behaviors of celebrities. So we got the drug use, illicit activities, and dangerous acts. So I will cover the first two keywords. Next slide, please. Okay, so talking about drug abusing. So this is our argument. If a celebrity is a drug abuser, he or she can intentionally or unintentionally encourage substance abuse among his or her friends. And if they accidentally or intentionally encourage this kind of activity, the fans can follow such behavior and become a drug abusers themselves. And thus, if a celebrity is a drug abuser, his or her fans can follow and become drug abusers. So this is to say that famous people have a negative influence on ordinary people, especially when they are exhibiting drug acts, right? And so this is happening quite often as more and more drug activity has been normalizing within the post, the content that the artist or the celebrity produce, as well as the unhealthy lifestyle that they are exhibiting to the public. Okay, so for the next argument, I would like to talk about the when you below slide, can you go back one slide? Right. So we're talking about the illicit activity. So we can say that celebrities are also human and they also have a chance to commit illegal activity. But here is our argument on this. So far, celebrities have rarely been badly punished for the crimes they have committed. And therefore, they will probably avoid serious punishment if they do an illicit act in the future. And so in this case that they have overall, they have a negative influence on ordinary people in terms of encouraging illicit activities. This has also been proven in the data by the college. So most of the celebrities in the past who have committed crimes are rarely convicted, or even if they do, they can evade the bad punishments by paying monies or can use different kind of relationships to avoid that kind of serious commitment. And the chance of them relapsing with this activity is extremely high. Okay, so I would like to give the chance for my friends to continue this speech.
And the last keyword in this part is about the dangerous acts. Individuals that are not trained with personal stunt skill or have sufficient knowledge about science must not be allowed to perform dangerous acts. And some celebrities are not personally trained with the stunt skill or have expert knowledge. So this leads to the celebrity should not be allowed to perform and promote dangerous acts. Then, regarding to dangerous acts, famous people have a negative influence on ordinary people. And this is the last keyword in this part. The second part is, next slide, is a negative influence on mental development of followers. It contains body image, self-esteem, materialism, and the last one is extreme idolizing. My teammate is will sharing this argument with you.
So the first key point of this part is the body image. And in particular, the survey included 1,000 participants, men and women, and focused on their body image and confidence. It found that 87% of women and 65% of men compare their bodies to the images they see of the influencers. The second premise is about most people compare themselves with celebrities, which makes them feel dissatisfied with their looks. It also causes a significant severity in their self-esteem. To be more specific, the unrealistic body image of the celebrities can negatively affect how people see their own appearance or even their mental health. Okay, next slide, please. As I mentioned, the celebrities' images on social media are frequently set up to achieve perfection in order to capture people's attention. Also, this caused the viewers to have an unhealthy comparison, leading to the self-esteem crisis. Therefore, we need guidance on how to interpret celebrities' influence. We can use celebrities' cases as entry points into important discussion about personal style, health, or in general choices. I will give the presentation to the next person.
Let's move on to materialism. People want to follow their idol style, or they are not considered as true fans. People want to prove their admiration for their idol as true fans, and people will spend a considerable amount of money to recreate their celebrity style. And we have main conclusion. Famous people have a negative influence on ordinary people on materialism. And let's move on to extreme idolizing, or idol stalking or kidnapping incidents that have happened so far were caused by extreme idolizing. Therefore, it is plausible to think that all action caused by extreme idolization can lead to dangerous situations. And we have main conclusion: extreme idolizing is one of the negative influence of famous people have on ordinary people. And let's move on to next part.
And these are four keywords of our presentation. First is misleading product endorsement. Next one is misinformation and fake philanthropy, and the last one is political view. Next slide, please. And we have some products endorsed by famous people are unsafe products. All products bought by fans are products endorsed by famous people. Therefore, some products bought by fans are unsafe products. And our main conclusion is some famous people have negative effect on ordinary people if they misleadingly endorse an unsafe product. Following the information, we have a Venn diagram to grow this. The symbolism of Venn diagram is
Products endorsed by famous people is I. Unsafe product is Q. Products bought by fans is X. So we have some I are Q or X are P. Therefore, some X are Q and it is valid.
Okay, so we will move on. The next part is about the misinformation, and we have the argument from definition that the outdoors respected in their fields of study and source available information. And the second premise is that some celebrities are not outdoors respected in their fields of study and conclusion. We have therefore some celebrities are not source of valuable information. And we have made conclusion that the famous people have negative influence on the ordinary if they may spread misinformation. And the case that is about the Nicki Minaj celebrity that she has influenced the COVID-19 about the misinformation. We see that the famous people have a fans and the fans that strong emotional connection. And when the idol that spread the info depend on their viewpoint that gain misinformation for their idol, their fans. And the next part is about the fake philanthropy. We have the argument based on the mathematics. The case about that is the first remit is Lux Foundation of Tom Brady. He raised about the 432,925 in the 2018, and the second remit that ever since the 2018, the Lux Foundation only gave out the 36,455 for charity. And we have the conclusion about the quest is the 396,470 has not been used for the charity purpose. So we can see that some celebrity that commit fake philanthropy cause negative influence on the ordinary people. And so we will move on the next part and how we keep checking.
The final part is argument from authority. Political scientist Mary Cohen comments the extent to which celebrity is prized in our society and has infiltrated politics. It is shocking to me, and the extent to which the mistruth and the falsehoods of the internet has been mainstreamed into American politics. Therefore, it is reasonable to think that celebrities' opinions on politics are not reliable. Celebrities can cause their followers to have an incorrect view of the political situation, thus causing a negative influence on ordinary people. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you for paying attention. If you have any question, please free to ask.
Okay, thank you, Group 10. And now the floor is open to the audience. Any questions, comments to the audience, to the presenters? Okay, but Liu, please.
Okay, as I have noticed in the statistical argument, in the premise you said that the fans compare themselves to the images that they are exposed to, which means that they can totally refrain from viewing such images, or they just can unfollow that account. But in the conclusion, you claim it turns out that it is the celebrity's fault to post their photos while they do have the right to do so. What do you think about this?
Very good comment.
Can you give me the slide so I can explain it a bit more?
Yeah, turn to the statistical argument. Upper to slide. Upper. Yes. Oh, no. Statistical. This is elimination. Go up, not go down.
Number 9.
No, statistical is the argument number 4.
I mean slide number 9.
I don't know which slide. Just now there. Just now I saw it. Not this one. Go down. One more slide. Go down, not go up. Yeah. Go up. Who's controlling? Thương.
Slide có cái bông hoa em ơi.
That's a very good identification. Okay, right, this one. So I would like to comment a little bit on this. So we're in the conclusion, you can see that the exposure to celebrity body picture is a major contributing. I agree with you that we did not accuse the famous people for the posting these pictures. However, we are aiming for the fact that the pictures that they're posting are usually heavily edited as well. So the exposure to these heavily edited pictures can cause this kind of influence. Yes, we know that, of course, you can have to choose the decision to unfollow this type of content. However, I also think that if you are an idol, you have the responsibility to provide information, or at least help the fan to know that if the photo are edited or not. So they don't have the impression that their idol is all perfect. I think so. Because the conclusion, we did not accuse the famous people for posting these pictures, but moreover, we would like to point out that posting the edited picture without providing the information that it is edited can cause certain negative influence on the audience.
May I ask something? I'm not a fan of anything, but what does it mean by addicted photos or images? And is it possible for the famous people to know that, or influencer to know that those are addicted? And do they have the responsibility to inform that?
Yes, because editing or post photo treatment, we call it post photo treatment, is very famous. So I did not include the reference of that here because it's usually just a tabloid. It's not really a good source. But if we follow the profiles of these celebrities, some of them did the edited on their own using phone apps, and you can see the bending in the background. Or sometimes if you are a celebrity, you would have a whole team to help you take the picture and edit the picture later. So I think they must know what is happening to the picture, and thus if there is any change in the shape or editing, they should inform the fans to know that it is edited.
I think it would be more convincing if you guys add some kind of facts like that, besides just the percentage of women and men follow or something, yeah? Compare.
Yes, I think so too.
Very good comments. Thanks, Bích Liễu. Any others? Liễu, you can put your hand down, or if you want to continue. Anyone else? And in your argument, I think the elimination, if you want, you can go down the next 2 slides. You have a term, true fans. What does it mean, true fans here? Is there any kind of way to quantify or to judge whether it is a true fan, and because you said a true fan must something. Yeah. So could you please explain here a little bit? Like, yeah, people want to follow the idol style, or they are not considered as true fans. So I wonder about these two alternatives in this argument.
Okay, so because they would like to show that they idolize, or they idolize they want to follow their idols to represent their love. So usually when we use the term true fans in the loose definition
Fans,
of fandom is that you will love what your idol loves, is the loose definition of true fans in the definition, especially for the fandom, or the how do I represent that word in English, because in Korean it's called jasang, which is the very dedicated. I would say I would use the term dedicated fans. I will remove the true fans, but
you are also the fan of Korean celebrities.
No, I'm not. I am not a fan.
All right, I thought that you know the term, so you might be. Anyway, yeah. Any other comments? Thanks for make clear on that term. Any other comments from the audience? I saw a very serious mistake, actually. I will point out very soon, and your group mates, you guys didn't find it down. I did it. I found it. Anyone's in the class could see the mistakes from group 10, sorry? No? Could you please turn to the categorical syllogism? Manan, I want you to clearly look at the Venn diagram and whether it is valid argument or not. Okay, please turn to the categorical after the elimination two slide after that.
Okay.
Go the slide 13 or 14. Yeah, that one. Okay, tell me if this is valid or invalid, everyone. Okay, I want group 10 to check first, and then the others say later. Huh? First of all, the mistake is whether it is a P or the I in the symbolic form.
Yes, it's a P. It's a P. It's I think the one who draw it cannot see my handwriting, so she wrote I think.
Even it is B or I know that finally this is the correct drawing, but whether it's valid or invalid argument. The conclusion is some S are Q. Are you sure it is valid? I don't think so. Manan, you draw this one?
Yes, I'm checking it one more time. So some products are endorsed by unsafe products.
I'm looking at conclusion and I check with the Venn diagram. The Venn is correct. But then, this is not a valid argument.
Oh.
Yeah?
But some can be, it's invalid because it's not enough. Like the X is only at the border.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so this is invalid argument, and you guys should not use an invalid argument to convince people.
Yes.
Right. So this is serious mistake. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So I think we are running out of time, so I don't think that our friends have any other comments. In general, we could see that some of the arguments are very good. The predictive argument, it is really a predictive prediction. Analogy also very good. However, yeah, someone made comments on the statistical arguments already, and for the hypothetical, I feel like premise 2 is not always true. That if we are a fan, then we follow. But like Manan explained the term dedicated fans or true fans, so maybe it would be correct in this case. And the cultural argument, I have no comments on that. Yeah, but in the definition, I don't really see what you are defining. And the mathematics, and the mathematics sound very hasty to me when you come up with a conclusion like that. And the last one is authority. We don't know why we should trust this authority. Could you please have a quick view on the definition, the math, and authority, the last three arguments?
Someone stop the slide, so I will just talk.
Show it again, everyone who control the slide. Show it again. Yeah, definition.
The
Almost
definition is
argument number 9. Going down. No, don't go up.
Ở dưới ở gần cuối á.
After that one. Yes. After that one.
So,
no. But this is the math. The definition first. Slide 15. Slide 15. Yes, that one. Okay. What are you defining?
Defining here as the what can be considered as the sources of credible information.
A source of credible information.
What can be considered as sources of credible information? So the sources here is from the authors who are respected in their fields, but the celebrities are not belonging to this group, and so therefore that they are not considered as sources of credible information.
What do you mean by field of study? All type of field studies or any specific types of field study?
I think all fields of study should be.
Really? So they are, some of them are not. Okay, some of them are not. All right. The way of writing here is really difficult to see as the definition, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, normally when we define something, we start something is what? That is the way we define. Okay. How about the next one? Math.
Previous one.
Next. Next, not.
We also have the math, right?
Yeah. No, don't go to the previous one. Go to the later one.
Slide 16.
16, yeah. Yes, the math
okay,
here, and then you make the data from this source, yeah, and then you make conclusion. Some celebrities commit fake activities or purposes or something like this. Is it hasty?
Because this one is this is only one of the celebrity who's been accused of fake philanthropy. In the reference, there are more, but this one fits with the argument.
So you pick up only one, but there are more,
yes.
Right?
There are more in the reference.
So.
Yes,
you should
sorry
say so.
about that.
Otherwise, people will judge. Based on the written argument here, people will judge. How about the last one? Okay, take the last one. Authority. Next slide. Okay. What could you please explain? Why should we trust him?
Because this is first of all, he is a qualified political scientist, and him and his friend, his colleagues have already conducted a research on the effect of celebrities on the last 2018 election. That was when the time that we have Donald Trump won the election. So he had carried out this research, and he found out the extent that celebrity has infiltrated politics, and the amount, the percentage of the mistruth and falsehood that they're also spreading in order to support their own political view, and how much that has influenced the American politics at that time as well.
So very good information for the authority to support the reliabilities of the authority. Why don't you guys mention that?
I guess we were in a hurry.
All right, in a hurry, not to convince, not good. Okay. Anyway, we are running out of time and so what we could see in the four group. Anyway, first of all, thank you, group 10. You guys can stop sharing this slide and also turn off the camera if you want. And yeah, thanks for the 4 groups today, group 15, 14, 12, and 10 for your presentations. And I believe that if you look clearly really pay attention to our friends' presentation today, you can learn a lot from them. The mistakes they did, you avoid. Something they do good, you could follow them, okay? Anyway, try to make a good arguments, avoid the mistakes, and also make sure you provide enough evidence to prove for the information you provide, especially in the premises. Okay, and the link must be clear, original one. Do not cite it from the blog. That is not good. Okay, and try to listen and get the bonus for yourself. And also for the 4 groups present today, it is done for you, but you should not feel released. Okay, please continue to attend the class, listen to your friends' presentation, and I believe that your comments will be very good for them to improve their work and get bonus for yourself. Okay. So that is all for today class, and please turn on the microphone and all say goodbye.
Goodbye, teacher.
Bye, teacher.
Goodbye, teacher.